Quarantine has taught me several things in life. One of those being that watching anime for 10 hours straight is what regular people call healthy. Anime has always had this stigma of being this cringy source of entertainment that only people sitting at the lunch table would watch. I never really watched anime that much as a kid, only being introduced to Naruto through my siblings. But even then, I wouldn't really talk about it to many people because, again, who wants to listen to some weird 8-year-old with a finger up his nose talk about the weird yellow hair guy? But one summer night, I remembered a show I haven't watched since I was entering middle school, and I decided to watch it again, keep me busy during this never-ending cycle of quarantine. This show is Toradora, and let me tell you, I don't regret it whatsoever. Before I get into the meat of things, I highly recommend anyone to watch the show. Without further ado, my name is Angle, and let me tell you why Toradora is special. Toradora was released on October 1st, 2008 by JC Staff. Hopefully by the time this video comes out, it'll be the 12th birthday of the show. Toradora is your very cliche rom-com anime about two people in love with the other's best friend. We are first introduced to our main character, Ryu Takazu, a well-meaning guy cursed with his deadbeat dad's menacing face. He's labeled as a delinquent and someone to not mess with at all costs. The whole class is terrified of him at the start. Afterwards, we are greeted by Ryu's best friend, Yakusu Kitamaru. They then bump into another major player in this all, Minori Kushida. As Ryu and Kitamaru walk by, we are shown our other main character, this being Taiga Asaka. Ryu bumps into her and she just socks him immediately. Off this we can tell she's your standard Doonzare. If you're on a smelly loser weeb but don't know what Doonzare is, let me give you the rundown. According to the ever so accurate Urban Dictionary, a Doonzare is a Japanese term for character development process that describes a person who's initially cold and sometimes even hostile, for gradually showing a warmer, friendlier side after time. After class, Ryu heads to the office to discuss his unfinished career plan. He then goes to get his bag but is attacked by Taiga. She yet again beats the crap out of him. He gets home eventually, but it's revealed that in his bag was a love letter from Taiga to Kitamaru. Taiga then breaks into the window to get that letter back by force. The fight concludes by Taiga passing out from hunger, but it's shown that the letter was completely empty and that she fucked up. In an attempt to make Taiga feel better about her situation, Ryu shows his box dedicated to all things related to Kushida. It's also revealed that they're next door neighbors. The two decide to work together to gain the other's friend's affection. The two exposition episodes set the table nicely for the rest of the slice of life format Toradora likes to take. They go through various plans to try and get one of them alone with their crushes, which usually ends with one of the two failing the goal in some comedic way and trying next time to do better. The characters in Toradora are often deprived from classic anime tropes but have somewhat realistic characteristics added on top. As I said before, Taiga is the classic Toonzare trope, this being this quick to anger and quick to violence short ass who gets labeled as the palm top tiger. One of the main plot points of the show is that Taiga for the life of her cannot take care of herself. She eats takeout or junk food, her place is filthy and full of dust, which even causes her to get colds from how little she takes care of herself. She relies on Ryu for the majority of her meals, and he helps her time and time again. The complete border opposite of this is Kushida, the very upbeat, talented, busy best friend of Taiga. She's Ryu's crush and is displayed as this ray of sunshine throughout most of the show. Then slowly is shown her inner flaws and problems. She doesn't rely on anyone but herself. Her willpower and drive will push her to grow. Next up is our main character, Ryu. Ryu is the well-meaning guy caught up in trying to win Kushida over. He's a bit weird. For example, he's obsessive over cleaning and thinks mold is the next Hitler. He's a top student with a troubled home as his dad left him when he was born, and his mom wants to work all day just to give him a chance at a brighter future. He's a misunderstood, talented, assuming protagonist. His right-hand man is Yakusu Kitamaru, the overly responsible, talented, sensitive, nerd mix of the group. He's the vice president of the student council and was rejected by Taiga beforehand. Each of the main four have this great dynamic and bounce off each other well. That's until Kawashima gets thrown into the mix. Kawashima is an interesting one. She's a renowned model who decided to get away from it all and to come to the school to lay low for a while. She's a childhood friend of Kitamaru and displays his two-faced personality when left alone with Taiga. She puts on this unbreakable facade and attempts to manipulate everyone around her but fails to do so with these four. Toradora's music isn't by all means unique nor special, but by all means it's good. Its two opening tracks are weirdly enjoyable, while the ending tracks, in my opinion, are pure bangers. What the music does do well is convey emotion and atmosphere to situations. Either it be Kitamaru walking with only a towel on his Baba Bowie, or Taiga holding Ryu by his hand to ask what's wrong, where Ryu's on the edge of tears. The art style has aged wonderfully, keeping this simplistic but very comforting look. Toradora's best example of presentation comes from its renowned Christmas special. Honestly, it's my favorite episode just sheerly off the emotional roller coaster it puts the viewer on and how amazingly well it's done. The episode goes as this. Ryu and Taiga are getting prepared for the Christmas party the school has set up, and Taiga is assigned the mission to Ryu to reveal his feelings for Kushida once and for all. As Ryu enters the party, he is unable to find Kushida anywhere. The party is also interrupted by Kawashima and Taiga's surprise performance of Holy Night midway through. But as the song is finishing, it cuts to Kushida sitting in her bed listening to the voicemail of Ryu inviting her to the dance that very same morning. And then the music cuts out and you see her crumple up before it goes back to the dance. It's moments like this that make Toradora so special. Kawashima then talks to Ryu and reveals that Taiga has left after her performance. We are then shown Taiga, sitting at her chair, wondering why every year she's alone as a somber piano plays in the background. Then just as the first episode had break in, this one does too, but in a more joyful light. Taiga helps Santa in, and she is filled with joy, showing her apartment around and then being swung around as piano rises up from being the somber tune to being a hopeful one. Taiga takes the head off knowing it was Ryu the whole time, but then tells him to head back to the party as Kushida is waiting for him. She then goes to her seat and sees her unreturned scarf as tears start to pour down her face. She then realizes that she is truly in love with him, and that she is unable to still be with him once he and Kushida meet up at the party. It's followed by her crying out for Ryu in the middle of a sidewalk as Kushida walks towards her. We are thrown back to Ryu as he gets interrupted by Kushida, and she turns him down, knowing his feelings towards her. He then falls to the ground in defeat. The whole episode is depressing as fuck, but it's a wonderfully put together episode in presentation and conveying emotion. It's Toradora's best to offer. Growing up is one of the bigger themes presented in Toradora. Each character goes through their own arc with their own lesson. Kawashima's is displaying your true self and pushing through fear. Kitamura's arc is not fixating yourself with one person, rather focusing on yourself. Kushida's that you have to be your own source of happiness, that you cannot rely on others for that, and that willpower is key to life. Taiga and Ryu, I believe, share the same realization, and it's romantic maturity. Taiga and Ryu learn throughout the show what love truly is and how you don't need this perfect person because it doesn't exist. Ryu believes that if he gains the affection of Kushida, that all of his problems and insecurities will go away. Taiga believes that if she has just someone that notices her, that she will be accepted. The first person to do so is Kitamura, so she instantly falls for him. But their idea of love is skewed, and turns out to be false when they both come to terms what love truly is. Love is finding someone who will help you become a better person and likewise onto them. The two spend the whole series basically trying to figure out why they can't achieve their romantic goals, but then slowly come to terms of what they truly need, which is, in the end, each other. That is what I would say if it was true. But Toradora isn't cliche in this department. Instead of ending it with them running away to live happily ever after, it's instead met with true maturity. Taiga realizes that running away from your problems and pinning all the misfortunes in your life onto one thing or person isn't how you should live. Ryu comes to terms with what she did and accepts it and understands that, and it builds on himself to continue growing. I believe the ending is phenomenal, and it leaves no loose ends whatsoever. Toradora has a very special place in my heart. It was one of the first anime I found my own as a kid, and it put a smile on my face all the way through rewatching it. It's been labeled as a blueprint for all rom-com animes, and I would have to agree with that. JC staff handled the show beautifully, and I can't thank them enough for it. Toradora has its flaws throughout the show. The jokes don't always land, some people criticize the character development as flawed and not realistic at times, and those are fair and very provable points. But at the end of the day, it's a show about maturing and finding what true love is to someone. As always, thank you for watching, and this is why Toradora is special.